Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. I hope everyone is fine. I am Aisha from Department of English, APS Ordnance Road. Today we will learn about active and passive voice, and this is first part in this series. Objective of today's lesson are that you will be able to identify the verbs in active or passive voice, learn and apply the basic rules of converting active to passive voice, solve the given exercises by applying the rules of conversion according to the tense. We know that in English, different verbs and different sentences are either written in active or passive voice. We also know that there are three important parts of an English sentence: subject, verb, and object. Mostly, subject and verb, when they convey the full thought, a complete thought, or full meaning in the sentence, object is either omitted or not written. But still object is a very important part of an English sentence. If you look at this sentence, Ali plays football. Let's analyze it. Ali is subject in this sentence. Plays is verb or action. Football is the object of the sentence. You see that here this Ali is the subject and is the doer in the sentence, means it is actively performing the action of playing. So this sentence is considered to be written in active voice. Why? Because the subject here is the doer of the action and is performing the action actively. So active voice describes a sentence in which subject performs the action stated by the verb. If you look at this sentence, football is played by Ali, you will analyze that this the same sentence is written in passive voice. Let's see how. Football is the subject here, is played is the verb or action, and Ali is the object or doer of the sentence. Here you find out that football is the subject, but subject is no more the doer of the action, rather it is the receiver of the action. Therefore it is passive because it is not actively performing any action. So when you have in a sentence a subject like this, which is the receiver and not the doer or not performing the action, it means that the sentence is written in passive voice. So passive voice describes a sentence in which subject receives the action stated by the verb. We have different rules of conversion from active to passive. Let's discuss the general rules first. Look at this example. She collects coins, and this sentence is now converted into passive voice, like coins are collected by her. You will notice certain changes that have taken place in this sentence while we converted it into passive voice. How? The first change you might have noticed is that the place of subject and object is interchanged in the sentence. It means that the coins, which was the subject in the active voice, now has become, it was the object in the active voice, now it has become the subject. And the subject of active voice has become the object in passive voice, like she has become her. So they are interchanged here in the sentence. The second change you might have noticed is the addition of by after the verb. The third change is that the form of the verb, which was the first form of the verb, the main verb, it was collects, but it is now has changed into collected. So keep it in mind that only third form of the verb, which is the past participle form of the verb, is used as the main verb in passive voice. No matter which tense you are talking about, all the tenses, when you change it into passive voice, it is converted into, you convert the main verb into third form of the verb. You need to keep this also in your mind that the sentences having intransitive verbs cannot be changed into passive voice. Look at this example. They go to school together. In this sentence, you can see that go is intransitive verb. Why is it so? Because go, there is no object after go. When you ask the question, go what, you're not getting the answer. To school is not the object, it is a phrase which is telling where do they go. So, go is intransitive verb because there is no object after go. It does not take any object here. So, it means that this sentence, it is having the main verb as intransitive verb, cannot be converted into passive voice. The rules for using helping verbs in passive voice are different for each tense. So, for each tense, which helping verbs you are supposed to use when you change it into passive voice is it's all different. So, you need to learn them, and you can learn them by going through the this following table which I have made for you. So, this can easily be memorized, or you can see that later on you can practice it by converting the different sentences of different tenses into passive voice. Look at this table. In this table, you can see that I have mentioned here the list of different tenses. Here in the second column, you can see that I have shown you that when the sentences of active voice are written in this tense, which forms of the verbs are used and which helping verbs are used in the tense. And in the third column, you can see that these are the helping verbs you have to use when you change the specific tense from active to passive voice. For example, if you are changing the sentences written in present indefinite tense, usually means it is obvious that the sentences of active voice of present and definite tense either take the first form only, or they take the first form with s or es. In negative and interrogative sentences, do and does are the helping verbs used in active voice. But when you convert these sentences into passive voice, you use is, are, am as helping verbs, and then you followed by the third form of the verb. Similarly, you can go through all the helping verbs according to the tense, and you can keep it in your mind while you are making changes, while you are converting from active to passive voice. You can also see that I have turned some of the tenses in blue color. Why? Because these four tenses, present perfect continuous tense, past perfect continuous tense, future continuous tense, and future perfect continuous tense, they cannot be converted into passive voice. This is why you can see not possible written in passive voice there. You can also see now, this is our today's main work, that you are supposed to learn the rules of present indefinite tense, uh, present continuous tense, and present perfect tense. Today we will focus all these four tenses, but you know four tense cannot be changed into passive voice, so we will only talk about these three tenses in present tense in detail. Now we will begin with present indefinite tense. In present indefinite tense, you can see that I here have mentioned that the assertive sentence, when it is written in active voice, what is the formation of it? Now, when you see present the sentences of present indefinite tense written in active voice, you see that they are written like this: subject. If the subject is he, she, it, or singular, then only the first form of the verb is written with s or es followed by the object. But if there are other subjects other than he, she, it, or singular, for example, if there is I, we, you, they, or plural, then only first form of the verb is written with the object. Then, when you change this, when you see such sentences written like this in active voice, you quickly identify that the tense is present indefinite tense, and then you use is, are, am as helping verbs with the third form of the verb when you change such sentences into passive voice. The example is she writes a letter. Now, she writes a letter becomes a letter is written by her. A letter, you see that it was object here. Now it has become the subject in passive voice. A letter is here you written in the beginning of the sentence. She comes as object in the passive voice as her. Writes is the first form of the verb written with s or es, But when we change it into passive voice, we use third form written instead of that, and we are using is as helping verb. So a letter is written by her. They sell flowers becomes flowers are sold by them. In negative sentences, you can see that the negative sentence in negative sentences, does not and do not are used. When you have the subject like he, she, it, and singular, you use does not as helping verb in negative sentences, and when you have other subjects, you use do not. So when you ever you see does not or do not, when you change it into passive voice, they are replaced with is not, am not, or are not according to the subject, followed by the third form of the verb. Look at the example. She does not write a letter. It becomes a letter is not written by her. They do not sell flowers becomes flowers are not sold by them. When we talk about interrogative sentences in active voice in present and definite tense, do and does come in the beginning of the sentence. In passive voice, is or am come in the beginning of the sentence, followed by the subject, then the main verb, the third form of the verb, then by, and then object. If you look at the example, it goes like this: does she write a letter? Is a letter written by her? Do they sell flowers? Are flowers sold by them? There you have an exercise. You are going to practice the rules which I just explained to you of present and definite tense, how we are going to change the sentences written in present and definite tense into passive voice. You are going to practice these six sentences on your notebook. You will convert them into passive voice, but the sentence number 4 is written in passive, so you will convert the sentence number 4 into active voice. There we have the second tense of today. This is present continuous tense. Present continuous tense takes this formation when we write it in active voice: subject followed by is or am as helping verbs, first form with ing, then object. But when we convert it into passive voice, is being, am being, and are being are the helping verbs used, and then third form of the verb is used. Look at this example. Active voice, if it is she is singing a song, so it will be changed like this into passive. A song is being sung by her. They are eating apples. Apples are being eaten by them. So we are using is being, am being, and are being as helping verbs because we have is or am with ing form. So whenever you have a continuous form, being is added there in passive voice. In negative sentences, you know that after is or am not is added. We add not here also in passive voice, after is or am and before being. Look at this example. She is not singing a song. It becomes a song is not being sung by her. They are not eating apples becomes apples are not being eaten by them. And in interrogative sentences, in questions, is or am comes in the beginning of the sentence. In active voice, the same happens. In passive voice, is or am comes in the is or am, they come in the beginning of the sentence. Look at this example. Is she singing a song? This becomes is a song is a song being sung by her. Are they eating apples? Becomes are apples being eaten by them. Now, there we have an exercise for present continuous tense. When you have the sentences written with is or am and followed by first form and ing, you quickly identify it as the tense is present continuous tense. When you change it into passive voice, you use is or am with being, followed by the third form of the verb. So you are going to do this exercise on your notebook. If you find any difficulty, you can ask me later on. This is our third tense for today. Look at the formation of present perfect tense, active voice, the simple sentence. You have subject followed by has, have as helping verbs, and third form of the verb followed by the object. But has, have, here in passive voice you write has been and have been as helping verb followed by the third form of the verb. Look at this example. He has completed the verb. Work becomes the work has been completed by him. We have made an excellent project. An excellent project has been made by us. In negative sentences, not is added after has or have, and in the same happens in passive voice. After has and have, we add not there. He has not completed the work. It becomes the work has not been completed by him. We have not made an excellent project. An excellent project has not been made by us. If you have the question word, it comes in the beginning. Otherwise, has, have start the question here in present perfect tense. Has, have come in the beginning of the sentence in interrogative sentences. The same happens in passive voice. Has, have come in the beginning. Then comes the subject and then been. And then after that, we use third form of the verb. Has he completed the work? It is changed like this in passive voice. Has the work been completed by him? Have you made an excellent project? And has an excellent project been made by us? This is an exercise. You are going to do it on your notebooks. It is based on the rules you are going to follow related to present perfect tense. I have given you a sentence beginning with who. When you will change it into passive voice, you will begin it with by whom. So, who has agreed to this issue will become by whom has this issue been agreed to. Your written task is that you're going to write down the general rules of converting active to passive voice. You will draw the table of helping verbs for converting active to passive voice. You are going to do the exercises, the three exercises given in this video lecture, and you will also note down the rules of all the three tenses. If you find any difficulty in doing this work, you can ask me later on. Thank you very much.